What is up, fight fans? Man, do we have a treat for you today on MMA Weekly, the most trusted source in news and entertainment in MMA for almost 20 years. I'm Jim Gries, call me Gries, and one of my favorite parts about my job is I get to rub elbows with greatness. I get to take that inspiration from them and deliver it to you right here on the shows. We're so pumped to be joined right now on MMA Weekly, an exclusive right here, by the legendary Double-Champ, if you could even call him that, multiple-time champion in Bellator MMA, one of the best lightweights and featherweights in the world, Patricio Pitbull, and the coach of all coaches, the one who's so draped in gold all over him everywhere he goes. He's setting off metal detectors with all that bling and all that gold, all those belts. They can't even travel with him anymore. There's too many of them. It's Captain Eric Albarracin, good friend of the show. And guys, it's good to have you, man. Pitbull, Captain, thank you so much. Appreciate you being on with me today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you.
Thank you, and congratulations on MMA Weekly making the right choice.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, Captain. You've been there with me from the beginning, you and Henry and the Pitbull brothers, and every time you guys are in town, been able to get up and see you and do some interviews, and you've always been really good with me, with Paulo, with everybody. So I appreciate it. And guys, I got to get right to it. Now, Pitbull, the Bellator MMA lightweight and featherweight champion, two-time featherweight champion, and you're headlining the first ever, the first show on the new network, Showtime. They picked the right guy to headline that fight card, Emmanuel Sanchez, in the semifinals of the featherweight Grand Prix with $1 million prize at the end. How's that feel, man, to be the one they choose to headline the first event? It's Showtime, baby.
I am feeling in the place that I deserve. So let's defend that belt and show who is the best fighter in the world. That's it.
How do you like the tournaments, Pitbull, as opposed to just having a regular title fight? What's the difference for you as a fighter when it's a tournament as opposed to just one title fight for the belt?
Como você sentir dentro de torneios comparação com lutas normal?
I think it's the best thing to do. You can do a competition with the rankings, but it's difficult to choose who's going to fight for the title. And in the tournament, you don't need to do that. Just put this guy there and make him fight against each other.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And Captain, what about you as a coach in getting fighters ready for a tournament as opposed to a title fight?
Yeah, well, everybody knows I come from wrestling. That's how we do it. Tournament style. We know how to get our hand raised. We know how to win. We know how to compete. And Patricio has that same mindset. We're coming after that 145-pound Grand Prix gold. We're coming after that $1 million. We're going to cement that pound-for-pound status. And, this guy right here, the Bellator GOAT, is willing to put that $1 million that he's going to win on the line against any featherweight lightweight in the world. Who's willing to take the $1 million bet?
We're going to get to that $1 million bet in a second, because I was there in August when you first made that bet, Patricio, and I was sitting there in the UFC Apex when Dana White looked at the media with a straight face and said he didn't really know who you are. And I looked at him like, come on, Dana, of course he knows who you are. He's bringing Michael Chandler in. More on Michael Chandler in a minute. But what were your thoughts when Dana White looked at the camera and said, I don't know Pitbull?
I don't know. It's mean nothing to me because I know he know who I am. And if he don't know, I'm going to show him who I am. So he knows I'm the great.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
Yeah, you've won 6 in a row, and really the leg injury against Benson, that's not really a loss. I mean, obviously that's a leg injury. But, Pitbull, when you look at what you've done in your career to this point, getting that notoriety, man. You know, Michael Chandler goes to the UFC, has a huge debut against Dan Hooker, just absolutely dominated and finished a top guy in the UFC. I know that made you feel good, and you said right after, Chandler's going to beat everybody in the UFC and win the belt, and then obviously you beat him. So that was a good thing for you that Chandler goes to the UFC and wins that fight the way he did. But I just want to get your thoughts on that whole situation where people talk down on the Bellator fighters as opposed to UFC. They look at UFC here and Bellator here. But when Chandler goes in and does that, as opposed to, not going in there and getting the win, it shows what Bellator fighters really are and how good you guys really are.
I feel like Michael Chandler is representing Bellator in UFC, and so it looks like he's in UFC now, and he beats Hooker so easily. So that show how good we are and what we can do there. So it's not about UFC or Bellator or PFL. It's about fighters. That's it.
That's it.
And
And
I'd like to say that means the B League is now the A League.
no
I've been
doubt.
saying that for a while. I've been saying Patricio Pitbull is pound for pound for a long time. I remember in 2015, I did an interview and I said, forget John Jones, Patricio Pitbull is coming. And there's an article on the internet, and that's been our goal ever since the beginning, to prove who's the best in the world. And we're doing it. I mean, he could be the next Triple C. He could get that third title. We're going to get the 145-pound Grand Prix title, which is another belt. But then we're talking about, listen, the 135-pound belt owner is Juan Archuleta. We just saw him last week. That guy's bigger than Patricio by 10, 15 pounds. And, Patricio already fought a 5-round fight with him. I believe he won all 5 rounds. So, I mean, you could say that 135, 145, 155 is all Patricio Pitbull. And that's why I believe he's pound for pound, because he's the only one that can do it. And just look what Michael Chandler just did in the UFC and what he's going to do.
Iron sharpens iron, guys, and I want to get your thoughts, both of you, on this. I want to start with you, Captain Eric Albarracin, coach of champions, and Patricio Pitbull, the legend right here on MMA Weekly. Jim Gries, call me Gries. And you know what? I look at your camps, Captain, that you put together, and you're in Arizona right now, and you're training. Not only Pitbull do you have your brother, but, Captain, you bring that stable together, and you've helped really groom Henry Cejudo to becoming an Olympic champion and then a multi-division UFC champ, Triple C, the GOAT. I love when I watch those guys get in there and train together. So when you're talking about Pitbull being a 3-division champ and Henry possibly being a 3-division champ in the UFC if he fights Volkanovski, I mean, you're making history every single time you guys get in the cage.
We're here to make history. We're here to make history, remember our name. That's why we travel the world. That's why Patricio Pitbull, we came from Media Day in Bellator, but then he came to Fight Ready here in Scottsdale to train with a lot, because the wrestling down there, I mean, I'm the only wrestler down there when I go down to the Pitbull Bros.
So everybody's beating you up.
Fight Ready. We have, 4 to 5 guys in the UFC. We have wrestlers coming up. We have a feeder system in Valiant College Prep, which is Angel Cejudo's, Henry's brothers, got one of the number 1 schools in the nation. And Arizona State's here is just full of wrestlers. And so I always make, you know what? It's wild. I was thinking about Patricio's, like, he's never wrestled anybody with less tech. I'm probably the worst wrestler he's wrestled. And I was on the national team in wrestling. I've always put him with Olympic champions, Olympians, national champions. He's never felt somebody less than that. And that's a testament to where we at here in Arizona. And that's why I bring him to a place like Fight Ready, one of the best gyms in the world.
Hey, Patricio, what's it like when you're wrestling Henry? What is that? You're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and Henry's an Olympic gold medal wrestler. I love it when you guys scrap and get on the ground, but just tell us in your own words what that's like when you wrestle with Triple C.
He teach me a lot of things, and I like to enjoy it. He know what he's doing, and he made a good transition for MMA, and that's the mean. That's good. He knows too much, and we change a lot of information. So that's make me better.
Yeah, and that's what greatness is all about to me, is, giving it back. It's all energy, right? So it comes into you, you put it back out into the world, and that's okay, guys. We can edit that in. Don't worry about that. But the way that you guys exchange greatness in MMA, to me, is one of my favorite things about the sport. You've trained with the Nogueiras, every big name. You take from them and you give to them. Can you just talk about what that whole process is like for you, Captain Eric? Because you're bringing these guys together, but watching that greatness absorb into Pitbull from Henry and into Henry from Pitbull and everybody else who's training with you, like the Tracy Cortez and Leandro Higos and Henry Corrales, and everybody just keeps adding in what they add in and then taking from it's just a never-ending cycle of skills and greatness just kind of passed from one fighter through another.
Yeah, it all started with traveling when I travel to Brazil, and I always say learning another language is like a superpower. And just when you learn another language, it doubles your opportunities. And fortunately, I can speak a few languages. So that's how I'm able to communicate with other countries. I mean, even Korean Zombie, we've gone to Korea and coached TKZ over there with Eddie Cha. And, from Brazil, I went down there not speaking any Portuguese, and now I can communicate in Portuguese. And now a lot of guys from Team Nogueira from 10 years ago are here right now at Fight Ready. Rafael Montini, Shaymon Marias. Right now, Patricio Pitbull. We've had Patricio here. We've had guys, Mateus Matos has come here. It's kind of an exchange between, I remember a few years ago when I first started bringing some Brazilians here. I think it was Henry wanted to call it the Bean Zillions because of the Black Zillions.
Yep.
And had that name going. They wanted to call it the Bean Zillions because it was full of guys like Fight Ready had Frankie Saenz and Henry Cejudo and Angel Cejudo, and then and Tracy Cortez and Junior Cortez, and then we started bringing in these Brazilians, and then the Mexican and Brazilians making a super team was and they called it the Bean Zillions, but it never stuck. But I think it's funny that that nickname that Henry brought up.
Patricio, what about you at 33 years old, in your prime, best in the world, all that gold? Your journey, man, you started in the sport and you came in, you've been humble from day one, but you come from Brazil and your roots, you're humble, man. You've just been a humble dude. I want you to talk, if you can, and tell the fans about your journey in the sport and what this sport has meant to you to the point where now you're on top.
Fala sobre sua jornada aqui, como você chegou aqui, os dois que campeões,
I have a lot of guys who is helping me, like Erica Barcin, Dave, who is the owner of Fight Ready. So we have a lot of partners that can make me better as a fighter, and I'm proud of that, of my career. So I make the right decisions in the right time. So it's all that matters.
All right, Patricio Pitbull, Captain Eric Albarracin. Just a couple more questions. I know you guys are traveling today and really appreciate the time, but I want to talk to you about Emmanuel Sanchez, your opponent coming up on April 2nd, first Bellator show on Showtime, the main event in the semifinals of the featherweight tournament with the $1 million on the line. What can you tell us about Sanchez, and what can you tell us about your feelings going into that fight?
We fought also. He was good. He was very dynamic. Now he's looking better, but he's not changed too much. And I know I evolve more and more every day, and I'm gonna show it in the next fight, and I'm gonna finish it at the first round or second. I'm gonna think about it. So I'm going to go to the finals healthy, and let's see what's gonna happen. I know he's good. I know he's tough, but I'm better.
What about you, Cap? What are your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I think evolving. This is one guy that one of the champions that seeks to evolve every day. You could tell by every year he hires a coach that is the best in their profession. So, he started with me with wrestling, and then he went and got the karate coach, Mano Santana, who was on the national team for Brazil. And then the next one was Everton, who's the only boxing world champion, the first boxing world champion ever for Brazil. So he's always seeking to evolve, and that's what makes him special, is that he's still hungry. He trains like he's number 2. Even though he's the winningest fighter in Bellator history, he's got 2 belts, beat the 135-pounder, dominated him. He still seeks to evolve, and that's what makes him different amongst champions. And that's something that I've had with Henry and with Patricio, is even in a room full of champions, they're different. They are uncommon amongst champions. And that's what makes these guys in the status they are now, which is pound for pound right here with Patricio Pitbull and Triple C, the greatest combat athlete of all time, and just bringing these guys together is always. This is like only the one of 3 or 4 times in 10 years where I've had Patricio and Henry together in the same city with the 4 belts together. It's a very rare occasion. It doesn't happen all the time, and as a coach, it's a little nostalgic. I feel good inside when these guys are together, because I know that they feed off each other, and that's part of it. I feel even Patricio being here is influencing Triple C. You know, I heard Triple C asked him, he's like, "Hey, how long are you gonna fight for more?" And he's like, "Probably 5 more years." And like 30 seconds later, Henry's mind is clicking and turning. He's like, "Yeah, when those fans come back, I wonder who I should fight." Things like that, you know. It's just like getting these guys together, and, you know, bringing them to Arizona is always a good thing. Or Triple C going to Brazil. Triple C's going to Brazil next week to help out Bruno Bulldog, who you know well.
Yeah.
Who's got a fight next week. So we're always I'm always trying to put the right people with each other, and that's big. I mean, even he mentioned Dave Zowan. He doesn't like to be mentioned, but he's here. We're here at Fight Ready.
Great guy.
Yes. He's right here to say hello to you.
Where's Dave? Let me see Dave real quick. Let me just see Dave real quick. I know he loves this. Where's he at?
You're looking at him.
There he is. What's up, Dave? Good to see you, man.
How you doing?
Good. I just want to say thanks to you for all that you do for these guys and for the sport, because there are a lot of people behind the scenes that people don't really know a lot about. And you know, with Frankie, with Tracy, with Henry, with everybody, man, just a big part of the success, and always there in the pictures, and everyone's going, who's that good-looking bald dude right there?
Yeah, I'm not good looking, and nobody wants to know me.
Look at this shirt. That's what I want to.
There we go. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for, well, he didn't have any choice. We just threw him on there, Cap, but I appreciate Dave. I have one more question. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, man. One more question for you guys, for Captain and Patricio. One more. And that is, and when Henry Cejudo says, hey, that's my mentor, that's my guy, that's the guy I choose to help me and guide me through life, that's Dave. So people who don't know, he's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman, but he's also a friend and a mentor to the fighters and to Captain. But last one for you guys. I know you guys are super busy and it's a travel day, but I want to talk more about the bet and your place in history, your legacy, Patricio. So you destroyed Michael Chandler in a minute. I mean, you beat him worse than he beat Hooker. So he's a top guy in the world. So anyone who has any doubts about you, first of all, those are out the window. But who would you like? I know you're under contract at Bellator. You're not going to the UFC right now. How would this happen, and who would you like to fight for that $1 million if you had your choice?
I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor, and I know I can beat him. So that's the fight I want.
Conor McGregor. Who else? Anybody else?
The original champ versus the reigning champ.
There you go.
$1 million on the line of his own money.
I already bet that $1 million against Volkanovski, and he wants to do that fight. So let's see.
All right, Volkanovski.
I believe it's the next step of the sport, of the MMA. Everyone deserves that. Cross promotion.
Cross promotion. You heard it there. What about you, Captain? Anybody else you can think of?
I mean, before Khabib retired, it would have been Khabib because he's the champ, and we believe Michael Chandler is going to be the next UFC champ. So we already beat him. Mm-hmm. Not we, Patricio did. But yeah, I think the 145-pound champ, 135. Who's the 135-pound champ? Peter Yan.
Peter Yan, yeah.
Not Triple C. So if it was Triple C, we wouldn't be. But it's Peter Yan. So I mean, even that. If we could go 35 in Bellator, we could fight anybody in 35 in the UFC as well. Cross promotion is, I mean, like he said, that's how truly to prove who's number one. And it shouldn't really be cross promotion. These guys are independent contractors. You know, it should be like boxing, where champion fights the champion from a different promotion or organization, and that or commission. And that is the norm in boxing. I do not know why it's not the norm in MMA, but it should be, because we use boxing judges. We use boxing rules, a 10-9 judging system. We use boxing referees. So, you know, why not follow the most important one, which is let these fighters fight each other, the best against the best. and let's see who comes out on top. And we got $1 million saying that it's going to be Patricio Pitbull. Are you willing to take the bet?
There you go, right there from the captain, Eric Albarracin, and Patricio Pitbull. And, of course, the light heavyweight tournament's coming up. 6 former UFC fighters in the Bellator light heavyweight tournament. So many fighters are making that jump and heading over to Bellator and coming back and forth between the UFC and Bellator. Such high talent levels everywhere. Patricio, for you, last one. Anything you want to say to your fans, it's all yours, brother. Whatever you want to say to the MMA Weekly audience, all on you.
Can you repeat that question? The phone was...
Whatever you want to say to your fans right now, anything at all you want to say.
Thank you very much, and keep watching. Let's see. I'm gonna show you a lot of violence.
You can't top that. And if you've watched Patricio Pitbull's fights, you know there's a lot of violence there. How about you, Captain Eric Albarracin? Last thing, I know you got some big fights coming up. The Eraser, Paulo Costa, and Robert Whittaker just got announced, and that's a big one for you and for him. And so many with Patricio coming up, and the impending return, as we know, of Triple C. Last thing from you?
Listen, last thing for me is we're coming after all the belts. We are coming after all the belts. I want a heavyweight. I want a 205. I want 185. I want a 170, 170. We already have 25% of the belts with when we had 4. I want them all. Women too. Women, all the belts for women too. We can make it happen. We have a system. And it's working, and that's my goal is to create reality.
All right, thank you. I just want to say thank you to you both so much. Patricio, I've met you probably 4 or 5 times now, and you've always been really good to me. I appreciate your time. And Captain, there aren't enough words to thank you for all the stuff you've done for me to help me get where I am, and we're just going to keep going like you. You guys inspire me. All that gold makes me want to be better every time I talk to you. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate you both.
I appreciate my friend.
Thanks for having us.
All right, there he is, the champ, Patricio Pitbull, April 2nd on Showtime, the first show for Bellator MMA, the perfect headliner against Emmanuel Sanchez in the Featherweight Grand Prix, and that night he will be leaving with that gold around his waist, getting set to win that $1 million, and Captain Eric Albarracin, coach of champions, Henry Cejudo, the Pitbull brothers, Paulo Costa, he's on the rise and still going, winning more. We appreciate the time from those guys. It's MMA Weekly. I'm Jim Gries. Call me Gries. It is the most trusted source in news and entertainment in mixed martial arts for almost 20 years right here on MMA Weekly. Make it a great day, guys.